Good morning and welcome back to the 70th of our Bible studies. We are drawing towards the end of the biblical sagas which led us from Abraham to the Exodus. Today we are finding ourselves with the Israelites as they leave Egypt. This is Exodus chapter 12, verses 37 to 42. The Israelites set off from Ramesses on foot towards Succoth. There were about 600,000 families, including men, women, and children. A large number of others, with sheep, goats, and cattle, came too. They baked yeast-free bread from the dough they had brought from Egypt. They had been expelled from Egypt with no notice, and had not enough time to get food together or to let the bread rise. The Israelites had lived in Egypt for 430 years. On the last day of that year, all the tribes of Yahweh's people left Egypt. That night, Yahweh was on guard as they came out. This is the very night that has been dedicated to Yahweh for all time to come, as a night when the Israelites must keep watch. Between the call of Moses and the Exodus come several chapters of Exodus which you might like to read for yourself. Exodus chapters 4 to 11, describing how Moses and Aaron asked the king many times to let my people go, and the consequences of the king's refusals. These disasters have been studied by scholars, and there are some who have identified the Pharaoh as Tutankhamun's brother, the heretic Smenkhare, who ruled Egypt briefly from 1335 to 1334 BC. They interpret the plagues as phenomena associated with the explosion of the volcano, whose remains are the island of Santorini, and the withdrawal of the waters at the Exodus had therefore been caused by the tsunami that followed the collapse of that island. Tutankhamun's father, Akhenaten, had been a monotheist like Moses, and his religion was banned by his son Tutankhamun after what looks like a palace coup against his brother Smenkhare. Was this large number of others referred to in today's text, who came out with the Hebrews, a band of refugees then, fleeing with fellow monotheists from the persecution that followed? So many questions, so few answers. Because of the confusion at the end of Akhenaten's heresy, Egyptian records from the time naturally emphasize the restoration of the old order, which was to continue even beyond the era that followed the rise of Alexander the Great around 305 BC. The Egyptians do not mention the departure of the Hebrews and the sun-worshipping monotheists. Seen in hindsight from the Egyptian point of view, the Exodus may well have looked like a relief, a sideshow. In the memories of those who escaped, however, were some remembered details. A hurried meal, the distant pillar of cloud that even glowed in the night, leading them northwards towards Sinai, their fellow travellers, the sea retreating to let them cross, and then returning with a vengeance to drown their pursuers. This was for them an epic escape to be remembered, to be thankful to Yahweh for every spring when the full moon rises after the spring equinox. Our Easter, the Jewish Passover. Well, now that we've reached the Exodus, we shall continue with the ancient sagas, and we shall look at how the Old Testament writers described the foundation of the law and the priesthood. The law has served the Jewish nation right down to the present day, and the priesthood from shortly after the Exodus, apart from a brief interruption during the Babylonian exile, right down to the destruction of the temple by the Romans in 70 AD. Now, tomorrow we pick up the story as the children of Israel escape from Egypt, as the waters of the Sea of Reeds withdraw to let them pass. See you tomorrow.